The bell of the Church of San Francisco tolls midnight, and a shiver runs down my spine. The streets of Santiago are deserted, except for me, standing before the imposing colonial building. The full moon's light casts strange shadows on the stone walls, making the statues of the saints seem to move. The air is heavy, smelling of old incense and something else. Something I can't quite identify. I am Miguel, a history student fascinated by the dark past of this church. For months, I've researched the legends surrounding this place. Now, armed only with a flashlight and my curiosity, I've decided to spend the night here to uncover its mysteries. Little did I know that this decision would change my life forever. With trembling hands, I push open the heavy iron gate. It creaks, echoing through the empty courtyard. My footsteps make a dull sound on the ancient stones as I approach the main entrance. The darkness seems to swallow the light from my flashlight, as if the night itself is alive. I take a deep breath and enter the church. The air inside is cold, much colder than outside. My breath forms small clouds in the air. The beam of the flashlight reveals rows of polished wooden pews and an ornate altar at the back. Statues of saints watch me from the shadows, their eyes seeming to follow me. I begin to explore, my footsteps echoing off the stone walls. The smell of burning candles and old wood fills my lungs. As I walk down the central aisle, I notice something strange. Some candles on the altar start to light themselves. One by one, small flames dance in the darkness. My heart races. There's no wind in here, nothing that could explain this. Suddenly, I hear a whisper. I turn quickly, but see no one. The whisper repeats, closer now, words in Latin too low to understand. I feel as if dozens of invisible eyes are watching me. The air grows thicker, making it harder to breathe. I try to calm myself, telling myself it's just my imagination. After all, I came here to investigate, not to scare myself with tricks of the mind. I continue exploring, focusing my attention on the church's historical details. But it's hard to ignore the growing sensation that I'm not alone. As I approach an old confessional, I notice something strange. The wood seems to be pulsing, as if it's breathing. Hesitantly, I reach out to touch it. The instant my fingers brush the surface, a wave of intense cold rushes through my body. Blurred visions flood my mind. Monks in dark robes, secret rituals, muffled screams. I stagger back, stunned. What was that? Some kind of hallucination? My head throbs, and I feel an increasing urge to get out of here. But something stops me. A morbid curiosity, a desire to discover more. I walk to the altar, where the candles continue to burn mysteriously. In the center, there is an old prayer book. As I open it, the pages begin to turn on their own, stopping at a text in Latin. Even without understanding the language, I feel that the words are important. I start reading aloud, stumbling over the pronunciation. As I read, the air around me seems to vibrate. The shadows on the walls twist and dance. The sound of distant chants reaches my ears, growing louder with each second. I want to stop reading, but I can't. It's as if the words have a life of their own, forcing themselves out of my mouth. Suddenly, all the candles go out. I'm plunged into complete darkness. Panic grips me. I try to turn on my flashlight, but it doesn't work. The chants are now deafening, echoing throughout the church. I feel cold hands touching my shoulders, my face, my arms. I scream, but no sound comes out. A flash of light erupts from nowhere, momentarily blinding me. When my vision adjusts, I see that the church is different. The walls are covered in moss, the pews rotted, and I am no longer alone. Dozens of hooded figures surround me, their faces hidden in the shadows of their hoods. One of the figures steps forward. His voice is like the scraping of stones. "Welcome, Miguel. We've been waiting for you." He lowers his hood, revealing not a face, but a skull stripped of flesh, with glowing eyes in the empty sockets. I try to run, but my feet are stuck to the floor. The figures move closer, their skeletal fingers reaching out toward me. The air is full of whispers, dark promises, and veiled threats. I close my eyes tightly, praying to wake up from this nightmare. When I open them again, I'm back in the normal church. The candles are out, the book closed on the altar. Everything looks as it did before, except for one thing. I am no longer alone. In the front pew, an old man is sitting, looking at me. His face is familiar, though I can't remember from where. "You shouldn't have come here, Miguel," he says, his voice weary. "Some secrets should remain buried." I swallow hard, trying to find my voice. Who are you?" The man smiles sadly. "Someone who made the same mistake as you many years ago. Now I'm trapped here, just like all the others." A chill runs down my spine. Others. He nods toward the dark corners of the church. Slowly, figures begin to emerge from the shadows. Men, women, children, all with vacant eyes and waxy pale skin. I recognize some of them from old photos I saw during my research. People who disappeared over the centuries, all somehow connected to this church. What is happening?" I ask, my voice trembling. The old man stands, his movements slow and painful. "This church holds an ancient secret, Miguel. A portal to another place, a place that should not be disturbed. Those who discover the secret become trapped between worlds, neither alive nor dead." My mind spins, trying to process what I'm hearing. "But why show me this? Why now?" His eyes meet mine, filled with infinite sadness. "Because you are special, Miguel. You have the blood of the original guardians running through your veins. You could be our salvation or our damnation." Suddenly, I understand why his face seemed familiar. It's the same one I see in the mirror every day, only aged by decades. You're. "Yes," he confirms. "I'm you, Miguel. Or rather, who you will become if you fail to break the cycle." The implications of what he's saying hit me like a punch to the gut. This isn't just a night of terror. It's the beginning of something much larger and darker. The old man, my future self, extends his hand. "We have a lot of work to do, Miguel. The ritual needs to be completed, but this time we must do it right. It's the only way to free all these souls and prevent you from becoming me." With a heavy heart and a mind full of questions, I take his hand. The moment our skins touch, a wave of energy surges through my body. Visions of the past and future flood my mind. Centuries of secrets, hidden rituals, lives lost in the pursuit of forbidden knowledge. I realize that my journey is just beginning. The night of terror in the Church of San Francisco was only the prelude to a much greater battle. A battle for the fate of countless souls and my own existence. The following hours pass in a blur of frantic activity. My older self guides me through the darkest corners of the church, revealing secret passages and hidden chambers I never imagined existed. Each new space we discover is imbued with an ancient, heavy energy, as if the very walls hold memories of the horrors they've witnessed. We learn complex rituals, recite incantations in long-forgotten languages. The souls trapped in the church watch us, their expressions a mix of hope and fear. Some help us, sharing fragments of knowledge they've acquired in their long existences between worlds. Others try to stop us, fearing that our actions might worsen their plight. As we work, I begin to understand the true nature of what we're facing. The Church of San Francisco is not just a building. It is a nexus, a point of convergence between our world and something else. Something ancient, vast, and utterly alien to human comprehension. The portal was opened centuries ago. My older self explains as we prepare a circle of candles for the final ritual. The founders of the church thought they were channeling divine power, but in reality, they were meddling with forces beyond their understanding. I nod, feeling the weight of responsibility on my shoulders. "And now it's up to us to close it once and for all." He smiles sadly. "If we can. Many have tried before us. All failed. When the clock in the tower strikes 3 in the morning, the darkest hour, they say, we begin the final ritual." The words flow from my mouth as if I had been born speaking this arcane language. The air around us grows thick, charged with static electricity. The candles flicker and dance, their shadows writhing on the walls like living creatures. Suddenly, a supernatural wind erupts inside the church, howling like tormented souls. The pews tremble, the statues seem to move. In the center of our circle, the air begins to warp, like heat rising from asphalt on a hot day. It's happening now, my older self shouts over the noise. The portal is opening. We have to complete the ritual. But something is wrong. The wind is growing stronger, threatening to extinguish our candles. The shadows on the walls gain substance, dark fingers reaching toward us. Voices whisper in my ears, promising power, knowledge, immortality if I just stop the ritual. My older self grabs my arm, his eyes wide with panic. Don't listen. They're lies. You have to resist. I fight against the voices, against the temptation to give in. The air in the center of the circle tears open, revealing a vortex of absolute darkness. Creatures impossible to describe writhe at the edges, trying to enter our world. With a shout of determination, I throw myself forward, plunging my hands into the vortex. The pain is indescribable, as if every atom of my body is being torn apart and reassembled. But I hold on to my sanity, to my humanity. Now, I shout to my older self, finish the ritual. He hesitates for a moment, then nods. His final words echo through the church, sealing the spell. The vortex begins to close, sucking the creatures back into their own realm. The souls trapped in the church are torn from their ethereal prisons, dragged into the light. For a moment, everything is quiet. Then, a blast of pure energy hits me, knocking me backward. My head hits the stone floor hard, and darkness envelopes me. When I wake, sunlight is streaming through the church windows. I'm alone, lying on the cold floor. Slowly, I get up, looking around. The church seems normal. There's no sign of the chaos of the previous night, no evidence of the ritual we performed. Confused and disoriented, I stumble outside. The streets of Santiago are full of life, people going about their daily routines. No one seems to notice anything strange about the Church of San Francisco. In the days and weeks that follow, I try to understand what happened. I research, investigate, return to the church several times. But I find nothing. No sign of paranormal activity, no evidence of the horrors I witnessed. Sometimes, I wonder if it was all a dream, a hallucination caused by too many hours of research and an overactive imagination. But then, I catch myself looking at my hands, at the strange and inexplicable scars that now mark them. And I know, deep down, that what I experienced was real. The portal is closed, the soul's freed. But at night, when I close my eyes, I can still hear the whispers. I can still feel the cold touch of spectral fingers. And I wonder, did we really seal that passage between worlds completely? Or did we merely postpone the inevitable? As I write these words, I look out the window at the Church of San Francisco, its towers rising against the evening sky. And for a moment, just a moment, I swear I see a familiar figure watching me from one of the windows. A tall, old man with my face. I shake my head, and the vision disappears. But the feeling remains. The feeling that my journey with the secrets of the Church of San Francisco is far from over. That the horror, somehow, will find its way back. And when it does, will I be ready?